Good Saturday morning of the fifth week of Easter. We're back now to the regular text. That is the continuity of the text. And it's, again, is St. John's Gospel. Okay, there's a great text there. Jesus, and boy, it's pretty much what I've been talking about so far. Jesus said to his disciples, if the world hates you, realize it hated me first. If you belong to the world would love its own. But because you do not belong to the world, and I have chosen you out of the world hates you. Remember the word I spoke to you. No slave is greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they'll also persecute you. If they kept my word, they will also keep yours. And they will do all these things. If they kept my word, they will also keep yours. And they will do these things, all these things to you on account of my name, because they do not know the one who sent me. That's tough talk. He's telling them what they're getting into. But one thing I think is very important, and it's a side effect of this type of speech on John's part. John uses the notion of the world. The world means all things divisive and self-destructive. The power of evil. That's what he means by the world. He's not talking about the earth. He's not talking about creation. He's talking about a matter of, in a sense, the power of evil. Okay, that's extremely important because it's been misunderstood. Very often in the history of Christianity, history of the West, the idea of the world was understood to be the human society, culture, the human culture. And there was a monastery expression, I remember, because every monk has to struggle with this, you see? And historically, the monk, well, let me just say, there was an expression, fuga mundi, flee the world. Yeah, flee the powers of evil, but that's not what they meant. Fuga mundi meant don't get involved. Don't get involved in the things of this world. Lead the contemplative life. Hence, monasteries were retreats from, as it were, the world, this Johannine vision of the world. And as I understand it, I'm not a scripture scholar, that there's a misuse of the word world. He's not talking about society. He's talking about the power of evil, the forces of evil. Okay? And I know that because in the monastery there was that sense, and I lived it. I mean, there was the fuga mundi, flee the world. And yet, the monasteries were centers of learning and culture and art. Where do you think our culture and civilization came from? The monastery saved the West. It saved the great genius of the West. It's where the Greek sciences, the Greek philosophy was saved. It was saved in the monasteries and the cathedral schools. Without us, there would be no Western civilization. Where did the artwork come from? It came as expressions of faith. See? We're not opposed to the human genius. We're not opposed to the world in the sense, the human experience, the human culture. We are not. But what we are opposed to, the forces of evil that destroys the beauty of the human family. If you want to know what the world is, and if I can interpret John right, I would say Nazism, communism, forces that destroy human dignity. It could be capitalism in an extreme form. I am very, very pro-capitalist, so don't think I'm being in. I'm not. I ain't too happy about Marxism and those isms. And God, the Nazis, holy God, National Socialism, holy mackerels. If that isn't demonic, in John's sense, the world, that's what it is. It's the forces of evil. And we have witnessed it in the 20th century. We have actually witnessed it. How could anybody not describe, how could you miss the horrors of the 20th century? The slaughter of innocent people, both through instruments of war, bombing, etc., but the death camps. I think the death camps were intentional killing of innocent people. Men and women, children, grandparents. If that isn't the word, If that isn't what the meaning of the word world means in St. John, I don't know what it means. It certainly hell doesn't mean the world of beauty or nature or anything like that. He's talking about the divisive, horrifying, self-destructive forces of the human heart. Selfishness. You don't have to be Hitler, but you could be cruel. You could be selfish. Maybe the ideal world could apply to a home in which a spouse selfishly takes from his or her spouse but doesn't give back. I don't know how to say that. Maybe the word selfish, but that's such an overworked word, it doesn't sound right. When you have such a force of self-interest that desiccates everything else around, decimates everything around it, that the world is there, that is the people of the world are there to serve you as opposed to be in a community of love. I don't know if I'm saying any of this right, but I just know it doesn't refer to matter. It doesn't refer to, when he says the world doesn't refer to the material universe. He's talking about the human soul. And unfortunately, under the influence of Greek philosophy and Greek culture, unfortunately, they were separated, and the notion of world became the notion of matter, and matter opposed to spirit, and that wreaked havoc in Christianity. So that monks in the desert fled the world. They fled the human community. I have to say, thank God, in our Passionist monastery, we didn't flee from anybody. There were some that spoke about Fuga Mundi, flee the world, but it was half-hearted. We were centers of culture and learning. That's the truth. I owe my entire intellectual life, my appreciation of philosophy and human wisdom, to the monastery. That's the truth. We were Renaissance people. See, we were Renaissance people. Our monasteries were beautiful places, simple but beautiful. They weren't ugly. They weren't ugly at all. And our music was exquisitely beautiful. I'm just thinking the opposite of what you think about. When you think about Fuga Mundi, flee the world, meaning fleeing the things of this world, forget about it. We embraced them with beauty. In our monasteries, they fostered art. In my class, there were two of them. God, Bob Soucy was one hell of an artist. There were some guys who were really, really good. I slapped a lot of paint around, but they encouraged painting, art. They encouraged active art. They encouraged music. God, Lord, and could we sing? My class was exceptionally good class for singing. And we sang, mostly church music, of course, but by God, how we sang it. I directed some of it, myself and Mike Solania. Mike was a way, way better musician than me. But I had something, I don't know what it was, a spark. Maybe an artistic, an emotional spark. I had something, because when I directed, especially Gregorian chant, I was able to bring out maybe the aesthetic of it. I sought the beauty of the music. Yeah. All the way through the monastery, we celebrated music and art. We had no Fuga Mundi. We embraced the beauty of the world. We articulated it. I think my Passionist habit is one of the most beautiful habits in the church. Beautiful. Stark beauty. It's in the form of it. It looks austere, but then when you look at it, you say, my God, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful habit. You see? Not plain. See? I'm so grateful. Even my home here. My home is beautiful. It articulates my own values, etc. And you could see, if you ever want to see it, I show it all the animals. The bear over here said hi. I say hello. You see it? And the deer head. It's because that's me. Not bragging. They are beautiful. This bear is beautiful. You see? The wolf. Can you see the wolf? He's beautiful. You see? I bought that pelt up in northern Alaska, and I had it mounted here. Yeah. Beautiful animal. It's beautiful. As ferocious as he looks. Beautiful. See? I love art and beauty, and my home is full of it. See? full of it. Anyway, just a thought.